Hey there, and welcome to That's Audacious, where we share entrepreneurial stories from amazing leaders to inspire and motivate you to be bold, brave, and audacious. I'm your host, Lauren Clement, the brand navigator, here to share stories that will make you say, well, that's audacious. And welcome to another episode of the That's Audacious podcast. We have the fabulous Nikki Langman with us here today. And Nikki is a speaker, an author, and an emotional intelligence expert. And she's known as the insatiable agitator. So I cannot wait for this conversation today. Nikki is challenging the status quo. She's compelling people to confront their greatest obstacles through a proprietary framework, which I love. It's called Unbrickable. We're going to talk a lot about that today, but she's also a keynote speaker. She runs workshops, she does coaching, and she's really empowering leaders to reclaim your perceived curses as a source of power, which is just amazing. So she works with individuals and teams, and her transformational workshops and coaching are absolutely igniting brave conversations that the world needs to have. Nikki, welcome to the show. It's awesome to have you here. Now, wow, that was a big mouthful introducing you, and I know we've got a lot to talk about, but tell us, where did this all start? Where did you come from, and why did you decide to get into emotional intelligence? What was it that drove you towards that, and why are you so passionate about it?
Oh, gosh. Well, because I'm a professional truth teller as well, I got hooked on emotional intelligence back in the late 90s. So it wasn't long after Daniel Goleman wrote his book, why EQ can be more important than IQ. And it was, the pioneers of that field were just getting a hold of it. And we were, nothing about emotional intelligence is a new concept. We've just taken old concepts, ancient concepts, thrown them all together and called it something different. But at that time, I was very preoccupied with trying to figure out why I did the things I did. Why did I overreact to something? Why do I behave differently than other people? And that was, a lot because I have a 30-year history with addiction. And, luckily I have a beautiful life in recovery now. But at that time, in my early 20s, when I found that magazine, I was searching for answers for myself. And so it wasn't really a career pathway that I got into. It wasn't that the world had thought that this was an important thing to do yet. In fact, the World Economic Forum hadn't even told us that, these soft skills, so to speak, which we now are calling more core skills or life skills. I was really looking just for answers for me. And I found them. And I found them so deeply that I started to really just research everything. I researched, everything that Meyer Solovey and, the guys at Yale who had done the doctorate paper before the book came out, and then everything since then. So I just love everything about neuroscience, emotional intelligence, and now I still have to do some introspection and why do I do the things I do? But at least, my experience and my knowledge that I've gained over the past 25 years teaching it in corporate and becoming a master practitioner has allowed me to help other people figure out why they do what they do.
Yeah, I love it. And it's a lovely journey as well, isn't it? Because when you get that sudden aha moment, all of a sudden this research and these experts and this knowledge becomes available to you. It's always there. But because of that reticular activation, I guess, inside your brain that tells your mind, hey, I'm interested in this,
yes.
All of a sudden you start seeing it everywhere. So from all of those learnings that you had, you created this Unbrickable approach that you now use. And I know we need to talk about Unbrickable and what it is and the Lego blocks and everything else. But what made you go, do you know what? I can combine all of this stuff with building blocks. What was the moment that you went, hey, there's an opportunity here?
It was, I have to say, it was the jam to my peanut butter. And I'll explain that in a minute. So I got my certification in Lego Serious Play, which if you're not familiar with Lego Serious Play, there's a lot of science behind, we think of it as a children's toy, but there's a wealth of science behind how constructivists play and building things and using manual dexterity opens up parts of our brains, the more creative parts, that allows us to to think differently and kind of get away from our prefrontal cortex, which most adults are quite obsessed with. I think we think, that we play when we're younger, and we're creative and we're innovative when we're younger. But as we grow up, we have to start using our IQ more. We have to start using the front part of our brain, our thinking brain, and we bypass emotion, or we like to. A lot of people think life would just be better if we could always bypass emotion. But unfortunately, your brain's going to disagree with you on that. So the ways that the brain, where innovation and creativity comes from is not from our thinking brain. We can't think our way into innovation, but we certainly can build it. So I was very interested in Lego Serious Play, got certified in December of 2019. Fantastic time to be certified in a methodology that uses common shared objects in a room with other people. Because COVID happened just a couple of months later. And it wasn't until about 2022 that I was able to get back into the workplaces and do development with using Lego Serious Play, because until that point, people were quite scared of it. 20 people have touched those already. I'm out. But anyway, so I was at a convention earlier this year. So I do a lot of speaking in the States. And at a convention, I was talking to the leader of our speaker bureau, and she was asking me, and because we work with college students, and we're always looking for ways to keep them engaged and to capture their interest in, the 8-second goldfish challenge. And she said to me, I love what you do with emotional intelligence. She's like, tell me a little bit more about this Lego thing. Because she was thinking, how could we put them together? I had never considered putting them together. It always been, I either do this or I do that, but I don't do the two of them at the same time. And I call her, I said, you're my jam, because here I've been eating peanut butter sandwiches my whole life. And you just came along and said, well, what if we put a little bit of that Smucker's on it? Which is, an American, like, that's the best sandwich in America. So, and I just thought, wow, it was right in front of my face. I have the skills. Never thought about it. Anyway, a couple months later, I did a lot of research, built a kind of a proof of concept, so to speak, and realized that nobody was really doing that in the mental health and well-being space. So we weren't using emotional intelligence competencies like self-awareness, self-management, emotional management, and a methodology like Lego Serious Play, where we use metaphor and building instead of talking. And we weren't doing that in the mental health space, at least in America, in the university system. So there was a wide open gap there. And I had an opportunity to speak at Yale, and I decided, of all crazy things, that I was going to launch this proof of concept at Yale School of Medicine, the Mecca, the home of emotional intelligence. See what they thought about it. And I got a standing ovation. And 6 months later, I got on stage at the Stevie Awards to accept my awards for Startup of the Year.
Yeah. Amazing. Just brilliant. What I love about this is, again, there's somebody from outside of your brain who looked in and went, what about this? And so often it just takes that, doesn't it? It takes one person to go, well, this and this actually go together. Oh my God, I never thought that. How often does that happen? And those combinations of what you're doing. And I know from my personal journey, we played with Lego as young children for years and years. Living in New Zealand, Lego was one of the cheapest back then, in the 70s and 80s, cheapest toys that you could send to grandchildren. So our grandparents would always send us Lego, birthdays, Christmas, whatever, another pack of Lego would come. And yes, we'd make whatever was on the box the first time round, and then we would just add it to the box. And that then became houses and cities and cars and boats and all sorts of other things that we just miraculously created out of our brains. So from what I understand that you're doing, Nikki, that's so different, is that you're taking that idea of removing the pressure of having to talk about stuff that you might find uncomfortable or difficult or traumatic to an environment where you're just constructing things and using a different part of your brain. Does that then lower your emotional defenses a little bit to help people open up a bit? Or what's the process that happens?
I'm so glad you asked that, Lauren. It is fantastic for the heavier subjects in mental health, dealing with grief, dealing with addiction, suicide ideation, trauma, any kind of trauma. Oftentimes we don't have the words to articulate what we feel, especially if it's been repressed for a long time, or just if our emotional vocabulary isn't very strong. And unless you're a wordsmith, I don't know about you, but I find myself at a loss of words and can't think of what I'm like. I can feel it. I just can't get it in my mind, the right word, how I want to describe it. But, you think about when you take a child to a therapist, and what do? They make them play. Mm-hmm. They give them something to play with, because when they're distracted, they do open up. And, it's even worse with adults. Have you ever tried to get a teenager or a young adult to talk when they don't want to talk?
Normally it's like 1:45 and all of a sudden they open up and mum's exhausted and now their teenager wants to talk to them. It's like, please, could we not have done this at 6 a.m. or 6 p.m.? Yeah.
So it's a really beautiful thing, the transformation and the aha moments that come out in a room when you have 15 people around a table and everybody's playing. And the way I run it is, I'll give them an easy build, and artistic ability does not matter whatsoever, because we're talking in metaphor. And easy build, manual dexterity, warm them up. Okay, now we're going to talk about something like, build where you are now, or build one of your greatest strengths right now. And then, that's too abstract. But then they get into it. They get really into it. And so it's, and then we do a group debrief where everybody listens to the person who's explaining their model. And I'll ask questions about, that's interesting why you put that blue brick on top. What does that blue brick symbolize? So we're not asking questions about the trauma. We're not asking about their pain or what they're ashamed of. We're not asking them to go beyond their comfort zone. It's because when you externalize it, you no longer hold the pain or the shame. The shame is in the bricks. The bricks have the problem. The bricks are concerned about something. The bricks, the brick's life is being affected by something. And all of a sudden it takes on a whole new, a way of kind of healing. And, we usually end by, okay, well, this is where you are now. Where do you want to be? That's the last build. And we're going to literally build an action plan. What's the next thing you have to do? What's the next thing you have to do to get where you want to be? And the insights and the transformation, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it, is beautiful.
I love it. I love it, Nikki. So who are you finding that you're working with mostly? Is it universities? Is it workplaces? Who are the people who are right at the moment that the people who are really absorbing this and going, we need to get Unbrickable in with our people?
At the moment, I have 87 interested schools in the United States, and I am a one-person show. So I would like to, the plan is to scale, and I probably will scale rapidly, but I'm going to need to get more people in a team who can do this. I can't be everywhere at once.
Yeah. Do you think you'll do it with like a certification that you can become an Unbrickable coach or an Unbrickable, provider?
100%.
Yeah.
I have a train the trainer program, which I am having. I'm in the process of having it or the process you have to go to get a certification recognized by a body. So I'm doing that over in the States, and that will allow me to either have the school put their student leadership or some of their faculty through it, so that they then can lease the IP, and then they can, that's a sustainability in it. The scalability will come from me being able to go from school to school to school, or having more people on a team of coaches, a team of trainers that can go around, and we can scale quite rapidly. But the idea is to have the ownership and the agency with the people, in the workplace, in the school. I eventually want to take it into high schools. I'm not sure if it's quite appropriate for primary schools, have yet to see, but then lower socioeconomic areas where mental health resources are not as available. The correctional centers, addiction rehab facilities. I want this everywhere.
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant. And I'm guessing if a Lego play practitioner is listening to this particular episode and they're saying, oh, that sounds interesting, it's another thing that they can use to add to their qualifications as well with what they're doing and be part of it.
Mm-hmm.
You are listening to the That's Audacious podcast. If you like what you're hearing, there are lots of other episodes like this one. Please like and subscribe to our channel and we'll make sure you get the latest episode, but also you can find us on your favorite channels and listen to other episodes as well. Nikki, you mentioned before about heading to the Stevie Awards for women in business. What made you go, do you know what? I've got qualifications. I'm a Lego play practitioner. I've created Unbrickable. I'm doing all these amazing things. I know, I'll go for awards. What made you decide that you needed to do that?
Well, it wasn't for ego. It was for credibility and scale. Because this is new, it's innovative, it is groundbreaking, and how better to get the word out there than to apply or be nominated for an award and then be able to use that to then go on podcasts and do media interviews and have that credibility piece where then people can see, oh, okay, so maybe we aren't talking about a children's toy, because that's quite a serious award that you got a silver award for. And so it's awards are a language decision makers understand. And the Stevie wins will open doors for me that I may have previously knocked on and got no answer.
Yes. Yeah. And the interesting that the categories you were in, who were you up against? Because I know as a startup, and this is a lot of people I talk to say, oh, I've only just started. I don't think I've done enough yet. I mean, how long was your Unbrickable program available for before you went, yep, I think I'll get some credibility for awards?
I actually have that information. You have the ability to edit, so I can grab it real quick.
Brilliant. So I had that you're a Maverick of the Year, which is an awesome category, because that's definitely, a Maverick is somebody who turns something on its head and creates something new out of something that already existed, which is exactly what you've done. And you won a silver as a Maverick of the Year, which is awesome. You also won a silver as most resilient female leader in advertising, business services, marketing, or PR, which is really cool, because I know from your backstory, Nikki, of overcoming addiction and what you've been doing with your learnings yourself. That's just been phenomenal. Startup of the Year, you won a silver, and you're up against some really big companies in there as well. Just amazing what you achieved. There was a very large, and one of the companies you were up against was IBM.
IBM, yes.
Just crazy, eh? Deutsche Bank was in that category as well. So yes, there's lots of really large companies that you're up against, and you managed to snag a silver in those, which is just brilliant. So when you entered them, what was your idea or your concept of what might happen with these awards in terms of the outcome for you and for Unbrickable?
Well, I really wasn't sure. These were the first, proper awards that I had gone for, and it was kind of amazing how it happened. I had downloaded the application and then just kind of put it in the too hard basket, which is what I think a lot of people do, because it is quite time consuming to go back through, especially if you are going back through. I mean, if you're like me, you are not organized whatsoever. And you probably have, things that you're thinking, where is that? What hard drive is that on, or a USB stick somewhere? And it may be very time consuming. However, I will say that the best thing that has come out of putting that time and energy into finding all those resources, that, the evidence, so to speak, is that now it's all categorized.
Yeah.
In one spot. So putting my media kit together, no problem. Putting a business plan and a proposal for investment together, no problem. I have everything now, and I wouldn't had I not taken the time for the award.
That's a funny thing, isn't it? Because often we are so fast to onto the next thing, onto the next. You've been asked to speak or visit another university and so on, It is a hard thing to stop sometimes, isn't it? And just reflect on where you've been. And you might go, I'd love to do this, but it's too hard. So well done on managing to just pause for a moment to pull everything together. And have you noticed any difference since you've won the awards? Has there been any outcome from having an award-winning program? Have you noticed anything so far?
I walk taller.
That's lovely.
It's opened doors to new networks. I have probably 5 more women in my life now that I met through the Stevies and through our experience in New York together. And I don't know, because no one has said to me, oh, I wasn't willing to consider you before as a provider, but now I see that you have, you were a triple Stevie winner. Now, come on in. I haven't seen that happen yet, but it might be because it was only a month ago. And, now we're at the pointy end of the year but I think next year I'm really going to leverage as much as I can, and maybe enter other awards. And again, not for ego, but just to, because if I don't get my foot in the door somewhere, a lot of people lose out because they won't get to hear my message. So in a way, it's I think of it as very unselfish. It's a business, it's a strategy decision for business, not so much a personal validation.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I love that, because so often we have the most innovative approach. We really have a passion for making an impact, but we just don't know how to do it. So I love the fact that you're just maximizing that moment to go, you know what? It's not about me. It's about the outcome of what we can deliver with the Unbrickable program. And just imagine if it grows the way you want it to grow and what it can achieve in those schools. So what's next for you and Unbrickable? I know you've got all these schools, you've got lots of things happening. Where do you see it going?
Well, I just had the most amazing conversation this morning, and I think I'm learning as I talk to more people. I tell you what, a few months ago, I didn't know who in universities to contact. Do I contact like the president of the university, or do I talk for professors? I have no idea. But now I've learned, what titles are most appropriate, just from people feeding back to me, hey, that's not really my department, but I can give you so-and-so's a recommendation to contact so-and-so. And this morning I had an interesting conversation where it was a private university in the States. They were very interested, but said, I just don't know how much of a growth mindset this particular school has, because we're very niche. And then when I started talking about the Train the Trainer program, and I said, and there's also other avenues we could go down, like cooperative buying, where smaller schools or workplaces with lower budgets can kind of group together, pool their money together to certify, a couple people from this school, a couple people from that school. And he's like, oh, I've got to get you to talk to so-and-so at such and such alliance. And if we can get you in to speak at such and such summit, he's like, there's 175 schools in our network. And I just about fell over, and I'm like, wow, that's how you scale rapidly.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is that lovely knock-on effect, isn't it? That domino effect of just building your profile, getting that credibility, knocking on the right doors, and all of a sudden, whooshka, off it goes.
Floodgates open. Yeah. I'm pleased to say I have already been invited back to Yale to speak the 1 year on, what's happened in the year since I launched the proof of concept. And I think by that point, the floodgates will be well and truly open. So,
yeah, multi-award-winning program now presented and used by children in schools all over the world. So, yeah, no, phenomenal, just amazing. I love what you've done, Nikki. Just the innovation around those moments of inspiration that you got yourself, but also from others around you, that you've turned into something that's a tangible impact, and you're absolutely going for it. Is so brilliant? I love it. Now, there's always one question that we ask in these fabulous episodes on the That's Audacious podcast, because we unfortunately are getting to the end of our time together, is if you could go back and give yourself some advice, doesn't matter whereabouts in life you go back to, but giving yourself some advice for the Nikki of today, what would that advice be?
Stop waiting to feel ready, because you never will. Courage is not a feeling. Don't wait for courage before you act. It's built from surviving your own failures. And just say the thing, take the seat, build the thing anyway. There's no such thing as perfection. I know I searched for it for years, and part of me is still searching for it. But good enough is sometimes good enough. And definitely stop waiting, or stop asking for permission from people who have never built anything worth talking about.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, you're so right. And I mean, so often we hold ourselves back from doing the thing because either we think we haven't done enough, or it's not quite right, or it's not quite ready. I love that. Don't wait for ready, because it'll never come. And you're right, you can look for perfection in everything. And in reality, you have to perfect things as you go. You have to fail and perfect and learn and grow and do all those sorts of things. It's not easy, is it? And I'm pretty sure you'd look back at times and go, oh, this could have been so much easier if I didn't have to do all that learning along the way.
But learning turns into wisdom. And, you know, I always say failure is not failure if you learn something from it, because all it is data. And if you took the data and you learned from it, you didn't fail. You only failed if you blamed, deflected, and didn't take ownership for it. Then you failed.
Yeah, brilliant. I love it. Nikki, congratulations on everything you've done, on the launch of Unbrickable, an amazing program, on the award wins, of course, but on opening those doors. And I'm sure at times it must have felt like you were kicking open some doors. Now they're starting to open for you, which is fabulous. I wish you all the very best with what you're doing. And I look forward to seeing you again on stage collecting more awards for your incredible impact that you're having. If you would like to know more about Unbrickable or to follow Nikki, all of the links will be below this episode, so please check them out. Follow Nikki, get involved with what she's doing with Unbrickable, because it's going to have an amazing impact on the mental health of our young people especially. And yeah, check it out, and of course listen to more of our episodes, because they're all here for you to learn how to be audacious, because you do deserve to be well known, well paid and wanted. Thank you so much, Nikki, for being on the call.
Thank you, Lauren. It's been fabulous. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for listening to the That's Audacious podcast. Remember, there's no place for modesty in business, and you do deserve to be well known, well paid and wanted. For more episodes, please subscribe to the podcast on your favourite channel or follow us online. The links are in the description below.